Hi everybody, my name is Aro. You might know me better as Aro Knits and Purls. I have both my Instagram and Ravelry handle under that, and I will link those below if for some reason you just randomly found me on YouTube instead of going through those avenues. So I'm really nervous. This is my first video. I hate the way my voice sounds recorded, and I've thought about doing a knitting podcast for ages and ages, but I have kept putting it off again because I feel really awkward. Um, I hate the way I sound on recorded things. I think I move weird. I worry that the way people see me in just those pictures on Instagram and Ravelry is not going to match with how I am in reality, and people will be disappointed. And I don't like to do that. But here I am. It's beautiful out, and I figure why not? I don't really have a plan going into these videos. If there's something that you guys particularly want to see from me, whether it's to go through my stash one day, and this is only part of my stash. This is not like these squares here, like the 4, even the 5th and the 6th, that's probably less than half. If that's something you want to see in one video, please let me know. If you ever just want me to go through all my test knits, if you ever want me to talk about the test knitting process, how I became a test knitter, like, I'm open to suggestions. This is going to grow organically. Or if it just gets 5 views, it may not grow at all. I go into this with no expectations or plans. Okay, so to begin with, most of you who have found me via Instagram will know that I am a pretty avid test knitter. So I'll share with you something I'm working on now, and then what I finished. I'll talk about what I am going to cast on for next month, test knits obviously, and then I'll talk a little bit about the yarn that I treated myself to this month. That's the game plan. So without further ado, this is the Primavera. It's knit with 3 strands of mohair, and the mohair I used is Knitting for Olive silk mohair. It's pretty reasonably priced. Each ball is 50 grams, and I think it's roughly, I should have kept one with me, it's roughly 250 yards per 50 grams, and it's priced at the local yarn store that I shop from just for this specific yarn is $12.50, which is really reasonable for a mohair, especially if you think a 100-gram one can go for $28 to $32 normally, speaking from an indie dyer. So this is Knitting for Olive, like I said, and it's commercial, which I don't normally buy. Most of my yarn is indie, but it's really good quality mohair. Even when I have to rip out, it doesn't get tangled as much as many mohairs do. And like I said, price-wise, it's very reasonable. So this pattern is by the Knit Stitch. I had seen her stuff on Instagram, but the way that I am, I only like to sign up for test knits these days. So I was like, oh, I love her patterns, but I'm not going to buy it because I'm always looking for new test knits. It's a compulsion. I'll go into that in a separate test knit video, I'm hoping. But anyway, so when I saw that she called out for a test knit, I immediately had to sign up no matter what I had going on because it was so beautiful and ethereal. She recommends that you use We Are Knitters Touch Me mohair, which is actually, I really wanted to use it, but they didn't have a color that really sung to me. But it incorporates Surrey alpaca or baby alpaca as well. So it's not as floofy. Like, it's definitely slightly fuzzy and it has a wonderful halo, but it's not as wispy, I guess is the better way to say it. Yarn words are so weird. It's not as wispy as Knitting for Olive or just any other mohair or silk mohair blend. But anyway, like I said, they didn't have a color that I like. If you can see here, Cloud it's a white but off-white, and it's almost like this super delicate blush. Like, look at that halo. Can you? Yeah, anyway, I'm in love with it. I love how it's working up. It's very easy. The only modification I've made so far, and I do make some modifications in most of the test knits I do, this rolled neckline, instead of doing it as she recommended, which is just you start from the neck, obviously, but instead of just knitting it really long and then folding it and sewing it, the way I did it was provisional cast on. And you know, once you reach the length you like, then you undo the provisional and then you fold and then knit the live stitches together. And that, to me, it's a really lovely finish. Like you can see inside there, it's a lovely finish. It's very easy to do. Like it can sound complicated if it's the first time you're doing it. If you ever need to ask me questions about how to do things a little bit more in depth, like put a comment. You can DM me on Instagram. DMing on Instagram is probably the best way to get a hold of me. But yeah, so I'm in love with it. I'm very excited. I have until the 25th to finish, and I am very, very, I expect myself to finish that. Okay, so that's the in progress one. The ones that I finished this month, I have one that's on the blocking mat right now, literally right next to me. It's still wet. Yesterday it was snowing in Salt Lake City, so it was very cold and it wasn't drying at all. So here we are, another day for you to dry, baby. Sorry, I'm talking to my sweater because I really wanted to show it off, but it's not ready yet. Anyway, the other one I have finished is this Lazy Daisy crop. I'm sorry that I have a wrinkle in the fabric already. It's already gone into my folded stash of sweaters, which again, if you guys ever want to just see like the ridiculous amount of finished sweaters I have, let me know. I can show those too. But anyway, this one, I already have one finished object photo up on my Instagram. I love it. It was a single skein, and that was a single skein with some left over because I even elongated the body more than the pattern recommended. I think I did about 1.5 inches longer on the body because I don't like super cropped things. I'm a little bit more traditional when it comes to crop length. And so the flowers on here are embroidered, which I thought was a very different but fun. It's actually very simple. Rachel's pattern, and I'm going to include the links to people's Instagrams so that you can actually see who they are if you don't know their names. It's Rachel Knits Things for this one, but she has a video that's included in the pattern to learn how to do these embroidery daisies. She does daisies. I decided to skip the middle part because I found that they squished the petals in a way that it wasn't my favorite. So when I left the petals just by themselves, it kind of looked more like cherry blossoms, which I love. Oh, I should explain what this sweater is too. I'll do that in a second. So, which I love. So I wanted to leave the petals alone, and I actually think it looks really lovely. So the little cherry blossom flowers that I embroidered, those are left over from a previous project. It's Life in the Long Grass Antique, which is a dusty, very lightly dusty pink. And the body is this beautifully variegated white, almost pink, which I guess you can tell is my thing with the Primavera right now. And this yarn is one of a kind from, oh my god, Autumn and Indigo. That's it, Autumn and Indigo. I wish it wasn't one of a kind because I love it so much. I want another whole sweater in it, but I literally just had that one skein, and I, as a sweater knitter, don't get single skeins unless I know specifically what it's going to be a contrast color for. So this skein was really just, I need it because I love it so much, and I'm going to wait for a project to find me. And I'm really glad that I waited because I actually just adore this cute little tank top, and it's perfect for spring and summer. Keep an eye out on the release. Like I said, I'll get you the link to her profile so you can keep an eye out for that as well. And the other versions that knitters have done, I've seen like moody colors with tonals. I've seen more like pastel fun. It's such a quick, easy knit, and it's beautiful. So I highly recommend it. Okay, before I forget, I'm going to talk about this sweater really quick. I finished this around the same time, but last year. And I haven't worn it out a lot because I haven't left my house a lot, like I'm sure many of you can understand in the pandemic. It's been a lot. Anyway, this is Jolies Fleur I don't speak French, so I apologize if I have any French watchers, viewers. But this is a pattern by Karina Knits. I adore Jill. She's one of the first designers I test knit for, and she's one of the designers that I always come back to her for test knits because her patterns are well written, they're simple, they're very customizable in terms of fit. Like I did this kind of poofy sleeve right here, and I added in this color work different than what she recommended at first, but I love it and it's super comfy. The main color is Hedgehog Fiber Sock in the color Dew, Dew. I don't know if I say that weird. And the main color is another single skein from Autumn and Indigo because I loved it and I had nowhere to use it, but this was the perfect contrast color and I always need pink. This is my favorite square. And this section is slowly becoming pink. I'm not replacing all the other yarns to make it more pink because I think it looks really bad when I just have one color. I try to keep a variety, but really pink is taking over everything. Anyway, so that was last year's sweater, one of last year's sweaters. Another finished object I have is this guy. I wish I could I should have spaced this out better. So this pattern, God, I'm so awkward. This pattern is the Triggy sweater by Haas or This Bird Knits on Instagram. Annie is another one of those designers that I constantly go back to for test knits, and actually this was not a test knit at all. This is probably one of my very, very, very few non-test knit sweaters that I finished probably in the last 2 years. This was so quick. She recommends actually either she has, okay, a little bit of background. Trilogy is one of the most amazing sweater designs because it incorporates 3 different weights and instructions for each weight. So the name Trilogy, there was nothing that there was nothing that directly said that you should use 2 fingering weights, because what I did was I held a fingering weight with a slub yarn. Slubby. Some dyers call it slubby, some dyers call it slub yarn. I've heard some other things, but I don't know how they're pronounced. But anyway, slub yarn. So I assumed that the DK weight held with mohair, which was one of the versions that was offered, would be a similar weight. And I was right. I was on gauge and it's beautiful. The dyers that I used, so this portion here, the trims that are just plain, that's Stress Knits in the colorway Pillow Mint. I have recently fallen in love with Delicate Mints, and this is the Delicate Mint. And the slub yarn is by Hawari Bazaar, and the colorway is Sana Lin. I got it as a pre-order last summer, and I fell in love with it, and I knew I had to have it. I didn't know what I was going to make, but again, I was super happy with how this turned out. So I used 2 skeins of each yarn, and this Hawari Bazaar slub yarn has more yardage than Stress Knits, so I'm going to explain it in the Stress Knits term, because the Stress Knits base, it's called her favorite base, that's the name. It's 400 yards each skein, and I used less than 2, probably 1.5 for knitting the medium. So this knit up super quick. It uses, I think, 9 or 10 US size. I don't know millimeters, and I'm sorry. I should have looked that up. But I really like the way it looks. It blocked out beautifully. The only modifications I made were to shorten the sleeves and to shorten the body as well for a nice crop look. And I haven't worn it out yet. I haven't even taken a modeled finished object photo of it yet, but I adore it. I wear it in the house sometimes just to feel fancy, because it is so aggressively feminine without being absurdly pink. So that's why I love it. Now I will talk about another one This is my last test knit of the month of April, and I haven't really gotten far in it. It's called the Arcuate Vest. It's by cl.knits. Again, I'll link her profile. But what I have so far is ribbing, and I'm not even done with the ribbing. Oh, it's twisted rib. I love the way twisted rib looks. I think I do it on all my projects these days, even if they don't call for it. So that's all I got so far. But it's a cable vest, and I've recently been branching out again by doing the tank tops, which I don't really wear tank tops very much. I've been branching out with the vest. Obviously, eventually it will be a vest. But it's cabled and it looks so lovely. I think when I saw CL Knits, her sample that she was like dancing around in a reel in, I was in love. I needed it. I don't know if it's gonna look good on me or not, because historically vests have looked horrible on me, but we'll find out when I finish it. And this is the yarn unwound. This is Blue Sky Fibers Woolstock worsted, and I had it in stash, which it worked out. I had to go down a needle size for it to get gauge, because I think hers is closer to a DK that she's using. But it's really pretty. I love the color, and it was in my stash. I'm trying to minimize my stash. I don't have anywhere to put them. I want to keep everything in these pretty little bookshelves, but there's not enough room in just the one bookshelf. And I have a tiny apartment. Anyway, so that's what I'm working on, as well as Primavera. So goal is Primavera first, then Arcuate Vest. And then I will move on to May's test knits. And May is another busy month of test knits, because I like to sign up for them without really... That's not fair to me. I do think that I can finish them. I'll talk about it more in another episode. I feel like I'm rambling, and I apologize. I'm not the most organized today. Again, because I decided to do this morning. For no reason whatsoever. But I will show you one of May's test knits yarn. I will link again. This is for Haas. Annie Haas. I can pronounce names. That's fine. Annie Haas, This Bird Knits. Again, I knit so many of her patterns. Really, they're amazing. Also, it was her birthday yesterday, and I think there might still be a birthday sale going on. Don't quote me on that, but you should check her profile for the code if it is still active. She's an amazing designer. Even if it isn't active, you really, really should get one of her designs, because they're amazing. The pieces are always super wearable, and I have never, ever, ever regretted knitting one of her designs. Ever. Okay. That brings me to, it's called Oat. O-A-T. I pronounce short words weird. Oat. Like oatmeal. And it calls for DK held with mohair, and for some reason this sweater I've decided to omit the mohair, which isn't like me because I love mohair. I do. It's in a lot of my projects. You'll see on my Instagram or Ravelry. But I adore mohair or suri or, anything floofy. I think it's so nice. But I got this. I should have picked a prettier cake. I'm going to switch cakes. Yes, this is a little nicer. Okay, I'm not great at winding. It's because of my Swift. It's really gross and battered, and I just need to replace it, but I'm lazy. And also, nice Swifts are expensive. If you know any good Swifts, please leave a link. Even if it's expensive, if it's nice, link it in the comments so I know where to go, because I don't want to invest that money and find out, oh, this is a not great Swift, right? Anyway, so it's called Oat, and the yarn I'm using is the Wandering Flock. This is MCN, so merino cashmere nylon, and the colorway is terracotta. So it's hard. I don't know if my camera is doing a good job at capturing this, but it's this delicately, I don't want to say rusty pink, but it's almost a rose gold pink. And I think it's lovely and I'm really excited to use it. And the reason I decided to omit any mohair was because I was worried that whatever color, it wasn't going to be the same as this, so it would change the way this looked. And I love the shade as it is right now so much that I am willing to omit one of my favorite fibers to preserve this beautiful color, which again, I'm obsessed with. Yeah, you'll see I knit with Wandering Flock a lot. I have a lot of it in my stash. But anyway, I'm really excited for this to work up because again, Annie's patterns are always amazing. I love the way it looks, and this is a great yarn as well as color. So I think it'll be amazing. And I'm gonna cast this on today. I would have kept it non-wound, you know, in just the skein, but I'm gonna cast on today, like as soon as I'm done with this video. Okay, so now that I've been rambling about projects that I have going on and projects that I have recently finished, I will talk about upcoming projects. I love planning, but my planning usually involves optimistic thinking because I tend to sign up for like 5 test knits a month and then like scramble at the end of the month to get them done. And I usually pretty much, I don't want to say always, 90% of the time, that's pretty great considering how many test knits I sign up for. 90% of the time I finish all my test knits on time, blocked. I get the finished photo done, everything awesome. Sometimes I'm a little too optimistic. I'm hoping that May isn't one of those months because I'm really so excited about them. So I showed you the oat plan that's coming up, and I will show you the yarn that I have for another one. This is, again, I was talking about how I've been branching out. This is Gregoria Fibers. It's cotton yarn. Close up. Yes, so it's cotton yarn. It's 70% cotton, 30% merino. And I got this as part of her test knit group for the Gabrielle cardigan. Yes, a cardigan. Most people who know me know I hate knitting cardigans. I really do. God, I should have painted my nails. I hate knitting cardigans because I just hate the constant turning. What I love about sweaters, especially top down, is that it just goes, you know, like you can crank it out. You don't have to think about it. But with the turning constantly, anyway, I've decided to branch out with Gregoria Fibers. I don't really buy a lot of international yarn these days, especially because of the pandemic, but also because shipping is even more expensive than it normally is. But with this, I did receive a coupon as a test knitter, and it's hard to find, say, such a pretty cotton yarn, I feel like, in the US that's not major commercial. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, like this is surprisingly soft, pretty price reasonable, especially if you consider the coupon. And I've always wanted to work with one of her yarns, especially her mohairs, but like this, I feel like was different enough that it would be interesting for me and a good chance to expand my repertoire. So I'm excited about it. And this is the colorway Stone, but I really love it so far. Not that I've worked with it, but I'm really excited to have a cardigan in this delicate gray color. I think it would be a staple, so I could even wear it over all of my other sweaters. But anyway, so that's another sneak preview of May. I will probably have a video in May showing maybe it finished, but probably just in progress. Anyway, that was just a sneak preview. Okay, so that brings me to yarn purchases that I have been excited about in the last month. If I actually showed you all of my yarn purchases in the last month, that could be its own 30-minute video, so I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm just going to show you 2 that I got in this last week that I adore and I'm excited about, so I will show you them right now. So this is Suburban Stitcher. I should have showed the logos. Can I turn without being Yeah, I'm just, yeah. So this is Suburban Knits, Suburban Stitches, pardon me, Suburban Stitches. I should know this. I talk to her on Instagram a lot. She's one of the dyers that I discovered at my local yarn store at the time. Hill Country Weavers carries her a lot because she is local to Texas. And I like shopping local. I like knowing that, that women can make a living off of what they love by supplying me what I love. I'm all about that. That's why I buy so much indie dyed yarn. It's not that I think it's inherently better than commercial yarn. If you can't, spend the money for indie dyed yarn, like, I respect that. I understand that. I only made the switch to indie dyed yarn when I was pretty much out of college and able to, have a decent income. I mean, I spend a lot on yarn. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, you can knit with whatever makes you happy, or even if it doesn't make you happy, if your work is, something you're proud of, if your work is beautiful, it's beautiful. You don't need fancy yarn to make it beautiful. But anyway, this yarn is beautiful. And she calls it one of her trash yarns, because it's not a repeatable colorway. She was kind of just experimenting, I'm gathering. But she posted this pretty much right before Easter, just like, hey, I have trash skeins in my shop. Get it while you can. And I saw this 2 minutes after she posted that post, and I knew I had to have it. So I typed so fast to get to her website, y'all. I checked out lightning fast. And now I have it. And it's this beautiful pastel, like, there's green and pink and blue. And actually, on screen, it looks more pink than it does in real life. In real life, it actually looks a little bit more green. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to hold it with a very light pink mohair that I have from Bichet Bouche, if I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, forgive me. From Bichet Bouche. And that's a very light pink. And I think it will lighten up the green to a lovely pink pastel, which is, my brand. I think it'll be beautiful, and I'm so excited about this yarn. I have no idea what I'm going to make with it. Don't ask me about that yet. If you have ideas, feel free to drop them. Again, I'm going to hold it with mohair. It's fingering weight. If you have ideas, I would love to hear them, but I'm just excited to have it because they're non-repeatable. These are one of a kind, and they will always be one of a kind. Unless she, pulls some magic out of a hat, which I feel like dyers really are magical. And the other yarn purchase that I got this week that I'm excited about, well, I think all yarn is exciting, but this is Sweet Sparrow Knits, right? Sweet Sparrow Yarns. Oh my God. I'm so bad at that. It even says it on the label. Sweet Sparrow Yarns, and the color is Cafe au lait Dahlia. And it is so pretty. Do you see it's like this delicate cream peach pink hue. I love it. I don't even know what I'm going to make with it yet, but it is seriously so stunning. It's DK weight, it's squishy as all heck, and that was one of my hairs. It's usually one of my hairs or my dog hairs that I'm like trying to subtly throw away, so if you ever catch that, I apologize, but that was one of my hairs, and that's a dog hair. That's the downside of having dogs, right? Anyway, it's gorgeous. I have wanted to buy some of her yarn for a really, really long time, but I've been waiting. I've always missed her shop updates for some reason or another, and this was the first time that I was like, okay, I have it set on my calendar. I'm not working or doing anything at that time, so I will be on my phone, and I was, and I got this perfect color, and I'm really glad that I got it this time because this really is the perfect color for me. I've been obsessed with light peach pinks, off-white pink. Clearly, I have a color of the season, and this is it. Okay, I'm gonna put that right there. So that's really all I had planned to talk about. I guess the other things I could ramble on about It's just housekeeping stuff. Again, I don't have a plan about what to do with this channel, about what to do in terms of talking. If you'd like to just like, I don't know, I could just knit a stockinette body while I talk. If you want to feel like, you know, we're at a knit night, like I could do that. If you want to hear about, again, some of my stash highlights, I could go into that. I'm so obsessed with this yarn thing that I have that I remember even when I purchased something. I remember like what time of year it was. I remember what collection it was part of. Anyway, I can go on. But the point is, I could do the stash talk. I could do just like a knitting circle talk while I'm actually knitting. Don't make fun of me how I knit. I knit very aggressively. It's how I knit so fast. It's the only way I know how to knit. Anyway, I could also talk about test knitting, what I find, like how I got into it and what I look for in tests from designers and whatnot. I could talk about color pairings. I don't know. I can talk about whatever. It's not that I don't have things to say. I just don't know what to talk about. I don't know if anyone's gonna watch this even. So if you have any opinions, desires that are reasonable and related to knitting, please comment them or DM me on Instagram if that's better for you. I'm gonna link my Instagram as well, so you can reach out to me there. I'm very responsive on Instagram. YouTube, I'm not sure how much I'll check it, but I'm planning on responding to everybody if they comment. But it may take me longer than it would on just Instagram. Anyway, I think I've rambled enough. I'm really excited to share some more of my knitting and my obsession with yarn with you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful day wherever you are. It's beautiful out in Salt Lake City, so I think I'm going to enjoy the day and do a lot of knitting. So that's me, Aro. If you need me, just let me know. But I guess I'll see you next time. Okay, bye guys.